Hello, everyone, and welcome to AFC Talk Show TV. I am your host for tonight, MK the Don. Big up AFC Flair. He is on holiday. I said hospital then. Me and Manny were talking about that in the back room. But I'm going to introduce, obviously, our first guest. As you just heard, is the absolute legend, Manny. Yourself, mate. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, all good, mate, and good to be back on the channel. Good to be in your company again, and I'm just happy that you don't seem to be too much worse for wear. Although, I mean, all I can say is just hang in there, whatever happens, and we've always got your back, no matter what.
Thank you very much, mate. I am feeling much better from the other day. I've been in bed for a couple of days, so I'm going to quickly put this comment on the stream. Star comment. Oh, I don't even know how you bloody do this now.
You just go to comments and you can just click one which gets highlighted easily. Yep, AFC Talk Show TV. Make sure you like and subscribe. Goes without saying. And then just pick whichever one you want to promote.
Yeah, here we go. Big up, Fans TV, my guy. Love that. I accidentally blocked the Added Times podcast. I accidentally blocked him.
Unblock him, mate. Unblock him.
I apologise, JPT. Please do not kill me, my guy.
Now I know why Flair takes the responsibility for most of this stuff. But yeah, we'll sort it out.
Well, let's get straight into things before I end up doing something again. First of all, I'm not going to try and do any banners because we know how that ended last time. I don't think you was on, Manny. Actually, maybe he was. I don't know. But my son started calling me during my last one that I hosted. So I've got to be careful this time. But yes. So, Arsenal 4, Leeds United 1. Manny, what did you think of the Arsenal, man? I'm enjoying it, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely say that 4-1 to the Arsenal is like a new scoreline now, because it was by that scoreline that we beat Crystal Palace. And it was, of course, in many ways a tale of two halves. I think backstage you were sort of putting it down to, among other things, the international fatigue, as it were. That could possibly explain it in a way. And of course, we made the decision to rest Bukayo Saka, starting with a front three of Leandro Trossard, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli. And for the first half an hour, we looked very shaky indeed. We could have conceded within the first minute again, had it not been for another decent Ramsdale save. And a lot of people who follow me on Twitter will know that I'm not necessarily Aaron Ramsdale's biggest fan, but I have to give him his props after a decent display where he made some good saves. He certainly looked as though he had done some good work on some of the issues that I think he has as a goalkeeper. And it was very unfortunate to see him miss out on a clean sheet due to a deflected goal via Alexander Zinchenko from the Leeds defender, Christensen, I think it was. But he played his part, definitely. And I think once we scored that penalty, we started to cook them, as one of my friends also said on an Instagram chat. Yeah, and of course, Leeds, without Wilfried Gnonto and Tyler Adams, two of their international stars and two of their more influential players, Leeds are always going to struggle. And they didn't really. I mean, they offered some threats on the counter, but were never quite able to get their act together. And that deflected goal was probably one of the only ways they could score. That and possibly a corner kick, because of course we had conceded a few goals from corner kicks of late. But it was just a typical dominating performance after that. And it was wonderful to see, the headline writes itself. Jesus returns before Easter. Gabriel Jesus with a penalty to increase his confidence, and then another goal in the second half. And then, of course, in that second half, we saw Ben White and Granit Xhaka also getting on the score sheet. Xhaka, of course, with the typical Xhaka boom after Leeds' consolation. And I wouldn't exactly call this performance necessarily routine, because we do still have a few issues that we need to solve. And it's like every game we play,
Mm,
it also reminds us that we still aren't quite the finished article, and we still have a few things to work on. I suppose that's probably par for the course when you've got such a young team in a way. And if I were to choose the man of the match for that game, it would be Ben White, because not only did he,
indeed.
I know a lot of people are going to talk about Leandro Trossard and his impact on the game and how he was able to, run the channels beautifully and put in some good crosses, as did Gabriel Martinelli. But Leeds in the first half hour, especially on their left, which is our right side of the fence, did pose a bit of an attacking threat through Junior Firpo, Crescencio Somerville, and also Aronson, I believe it was. And White has been one of those players who has really, grown and evolved as a defender ever since, ever since being given that role by Mikel Arteta. And it
Mm,
just goes to show that for certain defenders, if one position doesn't work, you try another position and see if that works. And yeah, Brendan Aronson in particular was looking threatening, but White had the measure of both, and he basically, with his defensive ability and his willingness to overlap a great deal, he really added a lot of solidity to the team before eventually we started to score goals and we started to really get into them. And it looks as though Aston Villa have just taken the lead against Leicester. Ollie Watkins with a goal very much against the run of play. It could possibly go to VAR. I think they were claimed to a handball and offside. But back to the game.
mm,
I said that White would be my man of the match, and that is one of, that I've pretty much outlined the reasons why. And
yeah.
he's going to be one of our key players. I still have a lot of issues with the whole inverted left back nonsense that Zinchenko provides, because yes, he does, come into the midfield and make some decent passes. But any decent side with a good attack, especially a more than decent right winger, will back themselves to, come down that their right wing, which is our left, and try and put some crosses in. And do we dare play that way against the Liverpool team, which has Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo, and Darwin Núñez in their ranks? Or even Manchester City with their much vaunted forward line? I hope Arteta realizes this and tries to do something with it.
Yeah, I've got to totally agree with that. I just want to say that you're not the only one who wants man of the match to be Ben White. Honest to God, that guy has absolutely transformed into the best right back I've seen for a while in this Arsenal team. And quite honestly, I have to agree with everything you're saying there. Ben White was outstanding. Everyone says, obviously, everyone looks towards when you finish and win a football game, obviously 4-1. I would have loved a clean sheet, but deflection, Ramsdale, I'm gutted for him. I've probably been one of his biggest praises this season, to be honest with you. I've had to, because he doesn't get enough credit. And that's no distance to you, Manny, because I don't actually have Twitter, so I don't know what on earth you've been saying on Twitter about Ramsdale. So I don't actually know that part. But what I will say is he is very much the person who the media look at as the outline if he doesn't do spectacular photo saves every week, if you know what I mean. Coming from that point of view. Criticism with Ramsdale, I will say that he couldn't have done much more. Saturday. He couldn't have done much more. The disappointing thing, which I thought the fans, which I'm so happy, no, the praising thing that I will say about the players is that I'm so happy that they did not, and I'm so happy that they did not lose motivation after seeing, obviously, Manchester City beating Liverpool 4-1. And if you saw Ben White's interview after the game, of course, saying that I don't watch football. I didn't watch it. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Obviously, about the Manchester City Liverpool game, the players are just focused. And even Xhaka coming out as well, saying that and go to Anfield and win. I'm proud of the boys. And I hope that they prove us spectacular things this season. I really hope they shush all the haters up and make this a season to remember. On towards the game. This is, I'll just do my point of view. Is it still 1-0, Manny, against Aston Villa Leicester?
Yep, it is still 1-0, and the goal was given because Watkins was just onside. There was no handball. But go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Right. So the first, I obviously we were talking during the back room, and obviously international break. I said that paid a brief moment into it, and the reason why I say this is last season, the horrible international break. After the international break, we had the run of games that we lost 3 in a row. I think it was Crystal Palace. I can't remember the other two, but I know for a fact
Crystal
we lost
Palace,
all those
Brighton, and
games.
Southampton.
They're the ones.
Crystal Palace,
The
Brighton,
Terror
and
3.
Southampton.
Yeah, Crystal Palace, Brighton, and Southampton. So after that time, this time last year, we just lost to Crystal Palace, right? At the weekend, just gone. Yeah, so we lost to Crystal Palace, and then we lost another 2 games. This one, we've come back. We didn't play that great in the first 30 minutes. I can't lie. Until that penalty went in, I was literally thinking Leeds could have got this in the first bloody minute. It was a great, less than a minute probably. It was a great save from Ramsdale. He had to be alert, switched on from the first minute. I don't know how we keep on that. We've done this against, who did we concede in minute 2? Bournemouth. So we've done it against Bournemouth, and we almost ended up conceding against Leeds. It's a little bit of a mission with us at the moment. How bad can we kick off at our home ground? Like, we don't see this away from home constantly, or any time away from home really. It's just in front of our home crowd at the moment. I think the fans are a little bit intense because of obviously what happened at the Etihad earlier. But like I said, I'm so happy that the players didn't let that get to them. They chucked the rust off. International rust, gone. See you later. Started it. Got the penalty. Jesus, it's a definite penalty. David, you know I've got hella respect for you, my bro. You know this. But your Instagram post, no. Can you see, my friends? He gets it in Jesus' knee. Bam. Jesus goes down. It's a penalty.
Exactly. And even if the contact from Luke Ayling on the knee wasn't really as hard as it might have been, I mean, you can't just lift your foot up to that particular area, and that is what I often call mental flatulence, or in crude terms, a brain fart, some people would say. Pardon me for swearing, by the way, but
No.
what Luke Ayling did was rather stupid, and that was in many ways, worthy of being called a penalty. It was a little bit like, I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but the goal from Gabriel Martinelli that was disallowed at Old Trafford. Actually, what Odegaard did to Eriksen was absolutely stupid as well, because you do not in any way try to. He literally sort of had both his hands on Eriksen's shoulder and just literally shoved him sort of onto the floor and onto the field rather. And people were and Bruno and company were right to appeal that, saying that there was no way that should have been allowed to slide. So
100%.
that was definitely a penalty, which was given. I was trying to look at it, and obviously, Jesus deserves credit for the
Were
work he
people
did trying to
really?
get into.
Yeah, JPT, the Added Time podcast, as you can see up here, I accidentally banded him, but I didn't do that this time. I apologise, my guy. He put, were people really saying it wasn't a pen? Doesn't he try and kick Jesus in the knee as he was on the ground? And legit, as he was coming in to the challenge, Jesus, obviously, as he was going round him, then the player literally bashed his knee, pretty much took his knee out, and that's obviously when he went down. It's a penalty. That's the thing. We're just going to go through some of the
Simple as
comments.
that.
Big up my guy, Huddlefield Fan TV. Big up yourself. Obviously, remember to make sure you like and subscribe. Obviously, we will have Flair back the next time we do this. But Manny, I just want to get some more thoughts off of you on this, and then we're going to actually talk about the title race, obviously, between us and Manchester City. We're going to have a look at our next couple of games. But what is, obviously, we won the game 4-1. Do you believe that this side will go to Anfield and get a victory?
It's really hard to say, Mason, because you will know as well as anyone else that our record at Anfield over the past several
Yes.
years has been absolutely, shameful. I think one of the few victories at Anfield I remember was when we beat them in the 2002 double winning season. Even after losing Gio van Bronckhorst, who was incorrectly sent off by that incompetent numpty Paul Durkin for a dive which wasn't there. And it should have been appealed. I mean, I hope it was. I don't quite remember. We still managed to score two past a team that had signed a certain Jerzy Dudek, who was supposed to sign for us, but ended up moving to Liverpool. But then we got the last laugh on him. And after that, I think our last victory at Anfield was, it might have been during Arsene Wenger's time when apparently he ripped into his players at the halftime during his halftime team talk, saying, "You lot aren't fit to wear the shirt." And that was one of the rare moments where he lost his rag. They came out and won afterwards. And then, of course, we
I
can't
believe it
forget.
was 11 years ago.
Right. Yes, that was the one then. And of course, we can't forget about Andre Arshavin's 4 goals in that 4-all draw. And apparently,
yeah.
that that sort of led to that famous chant. He's 5'4". He's 5'4". We've got Arshavin, so to heck with Adebayor. First of all, Arshavin's 5'7". You bellends. And that was another
I have to
example.
say this. JPT has got it spot on here. I'm just going to read this out. Similar to the streak at Tottenham Stadium, I think the losing streak at Anfield comes to an end, even without Saliba, if he's still out. Prediction 2-0. I'm guessing that 2-0 is
I'm
towards
not really.
Arsenal.
Yeah, I will sort of, get to that right now. And obviously, the reason why I was bringing up those matches is to sort of underline the idea that we haven't had the best record at Anfield, obviously, as people will know. And there's a reason why we are still going there as relative underdogs. And of course, this season, in as much as Liverpool have had a dreadful record away from home, at Anfield, I mean, I know they lost to Leeds and they drew against Brighton, but they've also pulled out some pretty good wins against Manchester City and, of course, against Manchester United. And, of course, our dear friend, Mr. Shaw, was not a happy chappy after that 7-0. We don't need to discuss that any further. But it just goes to show that when you play Liverpool at Anfield, it is an atmosphere in itself. And that is something that cannot be taken lightly. And let's also not forget, David, that Liverpool at that stage in the season were, still quite low on confidence. And Salah wasn't really in the best form. And at the Emirates, I don't want to talk about team talk now, but when at that stage, even when they played us at the Emirates and they actually did well to peg us back to 2-2, only to lose to a late, I think it was a Bukayo Saka penalty.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I believe so.
They confident. Yeah. But now it looks as though they've and Leicester have just equalised. Harvey Barnes with I think they probably deserve this because they've been the better team in this first half. No clean sheet for Emi Martinez this time around, but Aston Villa is still going to have to work even harder to try and get back their lead. But Liverpool's confidence this season wasn't really at its highest. But now, obviously they've started to play a little bit better. They've started to find their range. Salah, Gakpo, and Nunez certainly look to be, a potent front three. Maybe not quite as potent as Mane and Firmino and Salah were in their day, but they are starting to score more than a few goals. And I think Diogo Jota, if he's in that side as well, he will certainly have a role to play. And I think it's fair to say that in lieu of having to play us this weekend, Klopp has opted to rest a few players. He's rested. He's dropped Alexander-Arnold and replaced him with Joe Gomez, which is probably a masterstroke because Trent's form has not been the best. So we're facing a Liverpool team that isn't as bad as they were at this stage, at that stage of the season. I think they have improved, and obviously, when you consider the the atmosphere at Anfield and how the crowd will always get them to play above themselves more often than not. It's going to be difficult, and let's not forget that Liverpool still have a very nasty knack of saving some really good performances for us in a way. Let's not forget the 5-1 reverse in 2016, which did a lot to scupper our chances of winning the league that season. We finished second, 10 points behind Leicester
This
City.
is the stuff that just stick in my memory. All these horrible times at Anfield, getting absolutely battered time and time again. But this is the problem with it. To be honest, I always believe I'd never predict Arsenal to lose. Even when we go to the Etihad, I will not predict us to lose. So predictions will come later. This is a bit of a random one. We're just mixing and matching because, to be honest, the Leeds game was good, but I do think that this is probably the better game to look onto. I don't know whether you agree, Manny. This one, obviously, Leeds was a great performance. We touched on that. It was fantastic. It was good, probably from the penalty onwards. It was a little bit shaky to begin with. Big up JPT, who's in the comments. He just put, records are in the past, Manny Low. Streaks can do two things and all power washed if they are deep streaks or the underwear low.
Yeah, a little bit too graphic there for my taste. But listen, for the second case, I recommend pre-soaking them with soap and then putting in the washing machine. Power washing only doesn't really do too much. And Leicester are now running rampant. Emi Martinez having to come out and make some very comfortable clearances, made them look really good. A lot of people say that he can't really play from the back, but now he's adapting very well. But Leicester running rampant.
I'm just watching the Chelsea-Liverpool game. I don't know why. I really don't know why. This is probably one of the least worrying games of my season. But maybe to get a feel for Liverpool, more or less. They are playing a little bit of a lesser team tonight. But at the moment, it's actually Chelsea are putting more pressure on. Back post. Eden Hernandez misses. Oh, my God, it's 1-0. No, offside.
And
it's offside.
Enzo Fernandez, right?
Yeah, it's offside. It's offside.
And
it's offside.
Aston Villa looking to try to get something on the counter. Emi Buendia into the penalty area, but Wout Faes there with the important interception. Villa obviously trying to gain revenge for being thumped 4-2 at Villa Park by these guys in what was an absolute shocker. But and so far, they're finding good space in the midfield and into the penalty area. But Leicester defense has done a good job so far. So back to what we were talking about. Obviously, the Liverpool game, as you said, will be one of our biggest tests. And if we can pass that test, that will give us more than enough confidence to take on City at the Etihad. But here's the thing, though. We mentioned as well I think you mentioned that run of 3 games which we lost. We also had a dreadful run where we lost to Everton, drew at Brentford, and lost at home to Manchester City. That right there saw our 8 points advantage completely wiped out. But then not too long after that, City went and drew at Nottingham Forest, and then we ended up beating Aston Villa at Villa Park. So it just goes to show how crazy this particular league is. And here's the thing about Manchester City, though. People are quite fearful of them, but I've noticed one thing. If in a match or in a title race they leave themselves with a little bit too much to do, they end up with so little time left, they end up failing. That's one thing which I've noticed. It's happened quite a few times this season against Brentford at the Etihad, against United at Old Trafford, and if we can, frustrate them, we can definitely get something from that. And even Liverpool, in the early part of that game at the Etihad, actually got in behind Manchester City's defence. And they are a pretty decent team on the counter. So that's going to be where another threat lies, because we can't afford to allow ourselves to slack. And I think JPT mentioned that we might be without Saliba. Yes, Holding has done quite well, but it's just another reminder that we cannot afford another mistake similar to the one that Rob made at the Tottenham Stadium last year,
Yeah.
because Liverpool are the sort of team that will definitely punish any mistake you make, and you just cannot write off the likes of Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo, and even Darwin Núñez has started to score more than a few goals. So I think that's a lot's going to depend on the midfield that Liverpool will field. But we're going to have to make sure that at least with Jesus coming back, we can play the 4-2-3-1 formation. But of late, Arteta started to play a 4-3-3. I mean, do you see us sticking with the 4-3-3 or?
I think we'll end up sticking with the 4-3-3. But to be honest with you, I would like to see Kieran Tierney instead of Zinchenko just for this game, because I do think that where we're going to Anfield, I think we need, instead of the inverted winger, I think we need more of just a normal fullback for this game, because we know Salah is going to be on him. Like, we know whoever's on that right wing, which it will be Salah, like, unless he does get injured in this game, which who knows. But it is going to look like Salah. From here on out, today, it's looking like Salah's going to be in there. So Kieran Tierney for me. I think Kieran Tierney should definitely start, but I do think it will be the 4-3-3. I do think that Jesus will lead the line, but I do think Saka will come in for Trossard. I think that was purely just to give Saka some rest, well-earned rest, because he's been carrying us for a while now, and he's also been scoring goals and banging goals for England as well. So we've got to give him a lot of credit, and I think this is where the 4-3-3, it will be, if we can withhold, because we know that Liverpool will go all out. First 15 minutes, they're going to be firing. If we can withhold that wall and start defending for our lives in many ways, but defending in a way where they know that they're not putting us under enough pressure. Anything they can do, we can now bang. We can get rid of it, And I think that's where, if Holding plays like he has done these last few games where he's filled in for Saliba, then wow, fantastic. He's going to have a fantastic game. Hopefully, like, fingers crossed, hopefully he does. But as you said, if Holding does play anything like he did last season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, then our dream of going to Anfield and winning will suddenly become a nightmare if he then makes a stupid challenge and ends up getting sent off. Chelsea just come close again, just missing. But this is the thing. Saliba may be back. I don't know, because Mikel Arteta has been lying a lot about players' fitness and that. So I don't actually know. He said Trossard wouldn't be available for the Fulham game. He was starting. And now he's saying that Saliba. I honestly don't know, to be honest. I hope that he is going to be in for this game. I hope that he wasn't playing for the Leeds game on purpose, just so he would be prepared for the Liverpool game. But then I would rather 95 onwards Saliba than a below, if you know what I mean. I'd rather really actually like 90% Saliba rather than an 80 or anything below that, really. And I'd rather, if that does happen, the way Rob Holding's actually been playing, I actually do think that obviously Saliba's our main choice, but as that backup, at least for this season only, let's see what he's got in him, because he's really proved himself since last season's obviously chaos. He's come back into the squad and he's been playing really well. So we've got to give him credit. But if Saliba's fit, I want to see him in. If he's fit enough to be on the bench or on there, I want to see him in, And I think if we have Saliba, then I am more confident. That's no discredit to Holding. It's just the way our best team, I want our best team to go to Anfield. I want our best team to go to the Etihad. I want our best team to play Chelsea. These games are so important now till the end. I know David actually mocks me for saying this, but there's 9 cup finals left, bro. There's 9.
Yep.
This is it. There's 9.
Every match will be a cup final, especially if we're going to try and do whatever we can. I would definitely love to see us make sure that we adopt the Leicester City approach, where we're only as good as our last or our next game. And, we're not going to assume anything until it happens. And once City passed their big tests, that was when they could start to celebrate winning the league. So we really need to make sure that we pass all of our big tests this season, and then we can look forward to celebrating. Um, again, apart from Liverpool and City, we also have to play Newcastle at St James's Park, and then Chelsea at home. Brighton are also going to come and pay a visit, and they're not going to be very easy games. And I know that, yes, we dominated Brighton at the Amex Stadium, but they're also going to want to come out and prove under De Zerbi that they deserve a little bit more respect. So again, in this particular Premier League season, I mentioned how we still managed to reclaim an advantage after losing that initial 8-point advantage. It just goes to show that this Premier League season has been really crazy, David. Several of the big teams have not had good seasons, and this really now has to be our time, because who's to say that we will get another chance like this again?
Exactly that. And I think this is our best chance. If we can win the league here now, then it just goes to show how improved we've become. And a lot of people, no one thought, even ourselves, like no one ever thought that we were going to be in this position right now. We knew that we were building something for the future, but bloody hell, excuse me behaviour there, but it's just become like we've jumped up from where we're meant to be. No one thought that we were going to be at the top of the table, competing with Manchester City. And I still think of it as we're in this title race. As much as Gary Neville don't want to admit it, that he thinks United are going to finish above us, and now he's saying if we beat Liverpool, then he'll believe that something's going to happen. So he's when you're getting Sky Sports pundits speaking out of their arse realistically, e.g. Gary Neville, you have to sort of look at your club and think, wow, we're doing something good, because if we can get him absolutely really looking shook about what we're doing and having to nick at the littlest of things, Manny, right? And he is, and a lot of others as well. There's a lot of rival fans, there's a lot of pundits, there's lots of people who would love anything other than Arsenal winning the league. And quite honestly, it's like being a villain in a movie.
Yeah, I get that.
It really is. It's like KSI plays this. I don't know if you're up to date with the old YouTube boxing scene, but KSI plays obviously the Nightmare, and it's like, because he's an Arsenal fan, we're like the Nightmare Club. No one wants to see us win, but it's like we're just doing it. It's like we're finally coming back out of our shells again, and we're taking over again. And it's lovely to see. Next season is going to be so competitive, like at the top. So this is our best chance to go and smash it. This is our best chance.
Yeah, I get that. And having said that, of course, there are some other teams who are also quite sick of the Manchester City monopoly and would like to see someone else win it. And so even if it is Arsenal, I've got some mates right now on a WhatsApp chat who are continuing to mug me off, saying, I actually like Mikel Arteta. I love what he's done with the club, and I'd love to see them win a nice change for Manchester City, whereas I still have a few reservations of him. Now, this season, of course, obviously, seeing the way the team has performed, I've been willing to, give Arteta and the boys their due credit. But again, it's all about what happens at the end of the season.
Exactly.
And that's another thing. We can't just, pop the champagne until it's time. You can't count your chickens before they've hatched. I mean, enough of the cliches, but what I'm saying is we still have so many tests, and we've seen better teams over the years also flounder when the going got tough. Now, in as much as we've come in so late in the season, let's also not forget let's also forget that this season, due to circumstances beyond our control, is ending really, really later than even expected. It might be about more than 2 months before the season ends. It could very well end in June, and several teams have had games postponed and are going to have to play them whenever. So it's been crazy, and I think we can all agree that if we never ever see a World Cup or another major tournament held in December again, it will be too freaking soon. Because boy, was that an absolute irritation for so many teams and so many players who were involved. But Yeah. So quickly, I mean, I'm glad we were able to talk and team talk. I'd like to go through a possible lineup, and I think you and I can
Mm.
both agree that Tierney should be starting. It was
Yes,
interesting as
indeed.
well that when Liverpool came to the Emirates, Zinchenko was injured, but Arteta, in his infinite wisdom, so to speak, opted to play Takahiro Tomiyasu ahead of Kieran Tierney at left back because apparently he thought that with Tomiyasu being naturally right-footed, he could, stop Salah from cutting in and being able to score very well. But the problem was that, I mean, in as much as that strategy might have also worked, we also need to put things into perspective and say that Salah wasn't really in the best of form. And now, of
Mm.
course, Tomiyasu is injured. So, do we dare consider playing Zinchenko in that position? I don't think so. But I do like what Zinchenko does out of the team. He is of great use as a midfielder, but
Mm.
if you are a defender, you've got to have positional sense. And that is something that Kieran Tierney has in spades, which makes him everything as a left back that Zinchenko will never be. And as someone with Scottish heritage, I don't know if you saw Scotland beat Spain 2-0
Yes, yes,
at
yes.
Hampden Park. That beautiful run where he literally skinned
Oh,
Real Madrid's Danny Carvajal is perfect proof.
amazing.
Yeah, that
If that
Tierney
doesn't
is.
scream, sorry to interrupt you there, Manny. If that doesn't scream, Mikel Arteta, bloody play me. Like, play me. Like,
Yeah,
just give him a chance. I'm saying free Kieran Tierney because it's true. He's
yeah,
trapped. He's not playing minutes and he's going to end up leaving us. And I'm going to be so gutted. But if he wants to pursue his career, then he's going to have to go if he's not playing. I've heard Newcastle interested. I hope that's not true. But he needs to play. We can't use Zinchenko. As much as Zinchenko has been great for us this season, this is not the team to do an inverted fullback. This is not the time or the place to go to Anfield and do an inverted fullback. Hopefully, Mikel Arteta will be thinking Kieran Tierney anyway. Fingers crossed on that. But you
although
just don't know.
although given that Arteta is of course a Spaniard, maybe seeing his player do that to his countrymen would have said, you know what, son, for that I'm not going to let you play for what you did to my countrymen. Or I don't even, maybe he could be that petty, I don't know. But now we're coming back into my possible lineup. Pretty much as it were, except one thing. It would be Ramsdale in goal, White at
Yeah.
right back. It would be, obviously, Saliba isn't fit, so it would be Holding and Gabriel, and then Kieran Tierney at left back. Now, depending on whether we play the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3 formation, personally, I do like the 4-2-3-1. And one of the best parts about having Gabriel play was that he was at least capable of leading the line, but on his own. So that could,
Mm.
transition from a 4-3-3 into a 4-2-3-1 and vice versa. With Eddie Nketiah, we couldn't get that. And even when we had Leandro Trossard as a false nine, I don't believe he was that necessarily leading the line because he also had to switch between Gabriel Martinelli and himself. So let's say we're playing a 4-2-3-1. You could have Partey and Zinchenko as the two defensive midfielders. That is a good position from where Zinchenko can play, spray his passes, and also be a little bit a figure of solidity in that midfield without necessarily having to track back.
Mm.
And Tierney can also do his thing and overlap. Then you have Martinelli on the left, Odegaard in the middle, and Saka on the right. Odegaard will at least have a chance to get himself more involved, and then you'd play Jesus. Or if you have to switch back to the 4-3-3, it would be from left to right, Zinchenko, Partey, and Odegaard, and then Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka, with Trossard to come on for any one of those three. And that's another underline line. That also underlines just how important Leandro Trossard is. So basically, it would just be Zinchenko for Xhaka, and all would be golden. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to say I actually agree with that. To be honest with you, if Mikel actually does end up going for that, I do agree with the 4-2-3-1 formation because the two sitting there, I do believe that will give a proper like backing towards the defence as well. If Holding is there, if Mikel Arteta, obviously, if the Saliba's injury is as long as we think, which ain't looking good. If it isn't, then obviously Saliba can fit in there. We still need that solid front at the back, the front two sitting in there. But I don't know whether Mikel will go for it, Manny. That's the only problem with it. I do like it, but honestly, I do think that he'll keep it Xhaka. Maybe Zinchenko's on the bench if he does play Kieran Tierney. I'd like to think that he would do that formation and play Zinchenko in there. Maybe say to Xhaka, look, I'll put you in, but give it maybe 50, 55 minutes. Let's see where the game's going. But I do think that may be the formation, but I do think Xhaka will be there instead of Zinchenko, and maybe even Zinchenko will be there instead of Kieran Tierney. I can't lie. It's looking like hopefully we'll come on here again and say Mikel Arteta masterclass, but it's looking more like we're going to end up maybe, hopefully not, but it could end up playing into Liverpool's hand. But I'm just watching Liverpool at the moment against Chelsea. They're not, obviously they've changed their team around, but they're not really doing too much. They're having a lot of possession, which I presume that's what they'll get at Anfield as well. I presume that their fans are going to want it. Their fans are going to want this. And I don't really know why, because they've got more of a rivalry with Manchester City than us. Them being Manchester and the Liverpool massive rivalry in that. So really, they should sort of a little bit chill out a little bit. I don't know whether you see my Instagram story earlier of that Liverpool guy from Back Again, not from Back Again, but Back Again put it up, and it's like he says, "Oh, Liverpool are going to lose against Chelsea." A crisp, like a bite out of a sandwich. Oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, okay. Liverpool are going to beat them 3-2 or 3-1. We beat them 3-2. This team's going to beat them. No, this team turns around. Tottenham are going to beat them 2-1. Harry Kane winner. What happened? 2-2. So there's a lot of Liverpool fans who want us to fall, and I don't understand why they would, to be honest with you. But hopefully we can take on the crowd. Hopefully we get through that first 15, 20 minutes. I think going to be really where we find out where we are at, and I think this is important. It's these games,
I agree.
where we need to prove ourselves. This is where we find out if we're going to move on and go for. You know what I mean?
I agree completely. And to answer your question as to why, I think the rivalry stretches back to the 80s, where for quite a long time we had never lost a cup final against Liverpool. That streak was broken in 2001. And then, of course, in 1989, they had the Hillsborough disaster and were hoping to, of course, win the double as a wonderful tribute to the fans. They only needed to, they could afford to lose, but only by 1 goal. But we beat them 2-0 to end up sneaking the title at Anfield. And although our players and managers showed wonderful class by laying wreaths and floral tributes on the field at Anfield to mark the Hillsborough disaster, I'm not too sure the Liverpool fans would be willing to forgive us. And I think it's just a thing with Arsenal. We're always viewed as this team of, flash Harrys who, play this sort of seductive football as a means of saying, look at us, we're in this league, we're going to win, and we're going to show you how the beautiful game should be played. And then these big teams come up and say, you need to have some inner steel. I think we're showing quite a bit of inner steel, but we're also benefiting from a little bit of luck. So I'm trying to be a little bit fair-minded in that regard. Now, of course, Liverpool will stick with their 4-3-3. I like the idea of Joe Gomez at right back. And Van Dijk isn't even in the squad. It's Joel Matip and Ibrahim Konate.
Is he resting tonight, do you reckon?
He could be resting, but also let's not forget that Van Dijk's form has not really been the best of late. And Alexander-Arnold is also flattered to deceive. They've got Curtis Jones playing on the left side of midfield alongside Fabinho in the middle and Jordan Henderson on the right. And instead of Mo Salah, it's Diogo Jota on the right with Firmino in the middle and Darwin Núñez on the left. So it is very much changed in certain ways, but they do have Milner, Salah, Gakpo and Robertson on the bench anyway. And There's no sign of the teenage midfielder Bajetic. So for me, if I were Liverpool, the Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, which I'm obviously not, I'd start with Joe Gomez as my right back, and if Matip does well, he'll probably get to play ahead of Van Dijk. So Matip and Kanate would be okay. Robertson has to return at left back, no questions asked. In the centre of midfield, I'd probably look to try and play Henderson alongside maybe Jota and Fabinho. In fact, I think Jota really has some really good value as sort of an attacking midfield pivot, as it were. And
Plus, he does love a goal against us.
Yeah, and that way you can have the front three of Salah, Firmino, Salah, Gakpo, and Nunes, and bring Firmino off the bench. I think Liverpool's midfield could very well look a little bit light, and so they're going to have to try to figure out a way to sort of strengthen that midfield when we come to town. And so if we play the 4-3-3, I wanted to transition obviously to a 4-2-3-1, and that would give us more of an advantage playing at Anfield. But it will be interesting to see what Klopp does. And obviously, of course, let's not forget that the crowd are going to be up for it. They really will. They're going to make sure that the boys put in a good performance. It worked against Manchester City. It worked against Manchester United. And their home record has been quite decent. It's their away form that's really let them down. But you can never, ever, ever write Liverpool off for any reason at all.
No, of course not. Exactly that. We're going to have to end the stream now because we are on the 46-minute mark and I still need to have some dinner. So we're going to end it by obviously shouting out our YouTube channel, our channels, shall I say. Manny, I'm going to put you on the big screen. Give us 2 seconds if you would like to shout.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so first of all, if you want to catch me on social media, it's Manny Thangatherai 1981, which is my first name and my year of birth. On Twitter, you can catch me at Thangatherai 1981, which is my surname and my year of birth. And big up, of course, to MK and AFC Talk Show TV. Happy to be involved with this channel as well. A really good, relaxing change of pace where we have some really good discussions. And good to see MK back, none the worse for wear. And I wish him really well as he obviously obviously tries to deal with the health issues that he has, and hopefully he'll come out even better in the next few weeks. Shout out as well to Oris Talks Football. I was on their stream. We're 1 year old today. Coach's Corner, Del Boy Gunner TV, S Featley TV. I'll be looking to resume activity on that channel very soon. Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, Up the Cherries in All Departments, which is the Bournemouth fan channel. I do a lot of cherry picking shows with them, and you can also see me on 1 or 2 of their call-in shows whenever you can. Really lovely people. And some other podcasts where I've been on, but I can't really remember. And I'll send you a check in the post as always. Really good to have these discussions on YouTube with like-minded football fans and really have a chance to sort of have a say. It's not about, mindless banter or slagging off. It's about really thoughtful discussions about our teams and what could and should and hopefully will happen. And, just taking it forward from there. And I want to thank once again MK and Flair for creating this channel and providing another platform. It's a really good platform, and I want to see this platform grow as well. Big up as well to everyone who's joined in the chat. You're the ones who make this video what it is and make the channel what this is. Enjoyed the football that's coming up. The second half of the football is coming up right now. Have a good rest of your week, and don't do anything that Mason and I wouldn't do. But for now, I'm out.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Manny. You are an absolute legend for coming on tonight on such short notice. Big up everyone for coming in and joining us for this episode, and make sure you like and subscribe. Of course, Manny is right. This channel would not be anything without you guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much, Manny. See you guys all very soon. We're out. See you later.